The advice I hate the most that's presented in the dating world is stop looking and they'll come. That's the stupidest advice you'll ever give. Why? Because that's suggesting that by just sitting down, being lazy and waiting and not doing anything, you will receive the highest level of love possible. That's not true, because love is a frequency, and to receive the highest form of love possible, the highest possible partner possible, guess what? You have to become the frequency of the highest love possible in yourself to match the potential in the other. The more you declutter and do the things that raise your vibration, the more she will come closer and closer into your field because she's already there. Change can only come romantically when you change. Hello, everyone. Welcome to a new episode of the New Age Sage podcast. Shaved head now, new look. When I first started the podcast, my head was shaved. It's a new era, new season, new man, got a new woman, learning a lot through that experience. So I like to mark a new era with a change of style or appearance. It's not an identity shift because there is no identity, but just a mark of a new season of life. Okay. So I think what's useful through explaining from my experience of finding the highest love is there's some juice now in my teachings that before I was kind of questioning, did what I was teaching actually work? Is what I'm saying going to lead to results for people to find their highest love? Because my mission was and is, and could be changing soon, is to show women or people, but women specifically, what to do to attract their highest love. Now, I was doing the same things and hoped they'd work to find my highest love, and they did. What I taught, what was coming through me, I channel insights from my guides, whatever you want to call that, the ether, the collective consciousness, divinity, I don't know what it is, but something comes through me that's not me. My prayer before each podcast is to remove myself from the equation and speak through me. I'm kind of watching myself speak, I'm not speaking. So whatever was coming through me worked. I found there's the love you imagine in your mind and the highest love in your mind. And then there's what's God's love for you and the divine's love for you and the highest timeless love for you. And that's even higher than what you could possibly imagine. And that came to me. And I wake up every morning with stars in my eyes, with gratitude, thinking how lucky I could possibly be to receive this. Now, I know what it took to receive that. I know what it took to receive the highest form of love possible. I know it because I went through it, right? So what did it take to get there? And the best way I can synthesize it is to state a fact that I went through and that she went through as well, because I have both insights now in both parties. What I had to go through and what she had to go through to call in the highest form of love. And that was essentially detoxing from whatever was holding us back from becoming the frequency of the other. What does that mean? Her and I are the same frequency now, higher love, higher vibration, higher consciousness. We had to let go of and detox from anything that pulled us away from that vibration. If you're someone who wants to call in your highest love, the highest love is a frequency in the ether. You have to become that frequency to call it in. If you're doing things that lower your frequency, such as partying, drinking, doing drugs, hanging out with friends who are envious of you, having sex with men who are not great, that's repeatedly pulling your frequency back to a place where you can't call in the higher love. It's as simple as that. And there's this common advice in dating where it's suggested to, when you stop thinking about a person, let me rephrase it. The advice I hate the most that's presented in the dating world is stop looking and they'll come. That's the stupidest advice you'll ever give. Why? Because that's suggesting that by just sitting down on your ass, being lazy and waiting and not doing anything, you will receive the highest level of love possible. That's not true, because love is a frequency. And to receive the highest form of love possible, the highest possible partner possible, guess what? You have to become the frequency of the highest love possible in yourself to match the potential in the other. If you're just sitting down, doing nothing all day, waiting for love to come to you, you're going to receive love at the frequency you're at, which is lazy, delusional, narcissistic, and a refusal to change yourself for the better. That's the love you're calling in if all you're doing is sitting down all day complaining you don't have love. So the advice that you should just sit down and wait for love is not right. It's not good. I don't like it. Picture this. Our bodies are telling us what's truth and what's not. When someone tells you, hey, stop looking for love and it'll come, how does that feel in your body? Is it like, oh, you're right, I'll stop looking and I'll find love? No, you're always like, what the is this person talking about? What the hell they're talking about? People who find love that way don't find their highest form of love because they were being unconscious and lazy and attracted to someone at that frequency. I'm telling you, I called in my highest lover. I wasn't on my ass doing nothing. I was actively healing from anything, trauma, behavior, habits, people that was lowering my frequency to be at a place where I couldn't receive the highest form of love, okay? A teacher of mine, Lucas Matkoff, learned a lot from, who taught me about manifestation a couple years ago, and his teachings have worked for me and they've been really strong. He always hard emphasized co-creation. What does that mean? He said, you hire the heavens, you place a pizza order essentially to the heavens. You hire the heavens for, hey, I want this thing, right? Now, some manifestation teachers that are delusional just think you put it out and you wait. It'll come. No. You hire the heavens and the ether, but you have to do the work it takes to become the frequency of the order, right? I'm going to extend the analogy. I'm sorry if this doesn't make sense. Essentially, when you're hiring the heavens to give you the pizza per se, and you're forgetting the address, right? It's like, hey, I want this thing. And then the heavens get it and say, where's the address? I can't give this to you. You didn't put it's like you're ordering a pizza on Postmates, and you didn't put an address, and the driver's like, I don't know where to give this, right? That's what happens when you manifest without becoming the frequency for it, right? Because how can it meet you? If you're saying, I want the best lover possible, and you're out here douchebags and doing lines of cocaine, that energy, that frequency you asked for can't find you because it's like, where is this person? I only can give this if it's a match for it. The location is your frequency, right? You hire the heavens for a manifestation. Your frequency is the location. It only find you if you become the frequency of the thing you're asking for. That's co-creation, right? To call in and quote unquote manifest your highest partner, you have to do the work it takes when you're single to become the frequency of the love you want, right? So let's proof this. Even if you're not esoteric, we can agree attraction and love is a frequency. For two people to be attracted to each other and mesh and vibe with each other, they have to be on the same frequency. That's the way love works. Factually, there's not tinfoil hat conspiracy. Chemistry is an attraction. It's a frequency rooted in a form of love. It's a frequency. When people are vibing, think of the words, we are vibing. Our frequencies are at the same rate. When you don't vibe with someone, your frequencies aren't at the same rate, right? Therefore, you have to become the frequency of the ideal partner you want to call in, or else there won't be a match, right? You're asking the heavens, hey, heavens, guides, God, please give me this partner who's loyal, amazing, doesn't party, is faithful, all these things, and you're not matching that. The order can't come to you. There's no location. There's no pinpoint. There's no frequency to deliver it to. It took me. Everything's perfect. I believe in God's world. Everything's perfect. There's no mistakes in God's universe. There's no mistakes. No matter what, everything always ends up good. No matter what, because God is good. Even the bad leads to good. I believe that. You don't have to believe that. I believe that. Maybe it helps me be delusional and be happy. Whatever. I believe it. So. But I can still say I made a mistake, quote unquote. And that wasn't mistakes that led me to now, but it was a strategy that was incorrect. Because for 3 years, I did the sit and wait approach, where I thought, I'm good enough, I'm perfect, I'm going to sit and wait, and it'll come to me because I deserve it. Nothing happened. I attracted people who were duds because I was being a dud. When you sit around being lazy and saying, I'll wait for love to come to me because those dating coaches said, don't look for love and it'll come, you stay at the same frequency of being a lazy dud, and you'll attract lazy duds, and you complain, why am I not receiving the most amazing partner? Because you're not doing what it takes to become the most amazing partner. Boom. So things only changed for me when I switched that approach and was like, I honestly believe when the popular advice in anything, science, medicine, dating, psychology, philosophy, whatever the popular belief is, it's actually the inversion of that is true. So all the dating and relationship spiritual coaches will all say, stop looking for love and it'll come. No, that's not true. I literally thought this can't be true because it's the mainstream agenda. Okay, what's the inversion of that? Look for love and it'll come. Okay, let's go deeper because it's not looking with a needy attach. I need love. I need love. It's I'm gonna put my North Star somewhere, right? The North Star is the archetype and the qualities I want in a partner. That's the North Star. That's what I'm looking at, right? And when you look at a North Star, it's just a view if you don't go to work, right? So I saw the view, the North Star, and I knew to get there, I had to become the person worthy of that. That's how you find your highest partner. You set the North Star of the highest possible archetype and person you want as a lover, and you take the journey it takes to become the frequency of that thing. That's how you find your husband, your wife, who's the most amazing partner for you. You find the worst partner for you when you set the vision of I want all these things in a person, and you don't move. It's just a vision, right? You're not changing, so you're going to end up keep attracting people who meet you here at being a lazy dud because you're not going forward. That's today's dating, sadly. Change can only come romantically when you change. When you sit on your couch doing nothing, scratching your ass, thinking love will come when I stop thinking about it, it will come for you at the frequency you're at, which is a lazy person who's doing nothing to change themselves to be a higher frequency. When you do the work it takes to become a higher frequency where you're rooted in love, you attract someone on the same page. So the worst thing to do is to not raise your frequency when you're in the dating world and just be lazy and complain that no one good is out there. So when you change your frequency for the better, you attract someone who's better. That's it. So the question becomes, how do I raise my frequency to that of my future partner, who's the highest potential lover for me? I'll get into a lot of things here because it's not as simple as just like, oh, I'll be nicer and kinder and more loving and I'll stop eating gluten. No, this shit runs deep. It runs deep. Part of the reason I'm so happy I'm trained in Jungian psychology and shadow work is I realized that it wasn't just one or two things that were lowering my frequency. There was a bajillion of things lodged and jammed into my subconscious mind that were lowering my frequency one by one. And external attachments rooted in insecurity and shame and addiction that were also lowering my frequency. So I can't go through every single thing possible, but I'm gonna go through the ones that are the most prevalent, most common, that people are too scared to accept and face. So let's begin by the concept of decluttering, right? There's this current obsession with, is it an obsession on Netflix or these shows or YouTube videos where it's decluttering, where they're organizing closets, they're taking all the junk, or like hoarders when they go into a closet and there's literal just like piles of shit everywhere. That's your energy. There's just attachments to shit everywhere. And you got to go in there like Marie Kondo and just start pulling shit out that isn't aligned with love and truth and peace and prosperity. Anything in your life that's not aligned with love, truth, peace, and prosperity is a hook that will stab you and leak energy from you, lowering your frequency and damaging your potential to find your highest partner. That is the way it is. So the first thing I'm going to talk about, this is all external. This is the first section of this podcast is all about external world, external stuff in the outside, right? I can tell you this, one of the biggest ones that people don't want to accept and face is your friends. What are your friends like? What are the kinds of things they're focused on? Is the life they are living the life you want to live? When you look at your partners, at your friends, your girlfriends, and you say, man, my brother, my amazing, loving brother, I'd be happy if he got married to a girl like this. Now, I know this because I've experienced it, and it's true. You don't become the energy of those you surround yourself with. The energy tempts you to keep going back down to your old versions of self. So you have a choice, but it's hard to resist. If you're around shitty friends, you're not going to necessarily become shitty. That's common, but the temptation to do shitty things is going to be so prevalent that you're going to end up choosing it over and over again. And I'm going to be harsh for a second, right? Any woman whose friends are drinking on the weekends, doing lines of cocaine, being promiscuous with random men, spending their all night at a club, not sleeping, doing it again the next night. If your friends are like this, no good man will want to be with you. No, none, right? And to make it fair, let's look at the other side. If you're a good, kind, loving, feminine, safe, secure, sexy woman, and you see your potential husband's friends are going out on the weekends, getting drunk, doing lines of cocaine, and sleeping with a bunch of girls, would you look at that guy and say, that's the kind of guy I want? That's the kind of man I want to raise my kids? No. So I really believe that if you want to call in the highest form of love possible with a really amazing partner who's safe and peaceful, that partner is going to want nothing to do with you if all your friends are hell-bent on partying every weekend, doing drugs, drinking, and being promiscuous. I'm not judging it. I've been there. I've spent years of my life doing that until, thank God, until I got sober years ago. So I get it. It's part of the evolution of humans in this iteration of reality. I get it. But at the same time, you have to be realistic with yourself, right? Why would a truly good husband material man want to be with me if I'm still going out partying in the weekends, drinking, doing drugs, and random dudes? You can't have it both ways. What women have to understand is if you want the husband who's good, a masculine man who's faithful and a higher vibration, you can't have that and also be clubbing, doing drugs on the weekend, getting drunk, and being promiscuous. There's no match for this, right? I'll tell you this. Because I know it's tough, right? Because it's tough being alone. I've had this conversation with many people who are still stuck with those friends, and it keeps them stuck in the same place. And when I come back to them a year later and they changed friends, their life changed. I've been there. All my friends I made in college were all love to them. They were still interested in that lifestyle of drinking, drugs, partying, promiscuity. I get it. I'm not judging. That's just where they were, right? And I knew that if I used to live in New York City. If I stayed in New York City, I'd be constantly tempted to go do those things with them because I'd rather do that than be alone, right? So I knew I had to move cities. I live in Austin, Texas now, to a place where I literally knew no one. So I'd be forced to make friends who aligned with me because I have no choice but to be alone, right? And it took me about 2 years of being fully alone most of the time, almost all the time, and being okay with that until I met my current best friends who inspire the out of me, who I'd be happy if my sister or someone I love clearly, a friend or my girlfriend's sister wanted to marry someone, I'd happily give them my friends. I'd say, this is a good man. I know this is a good man. And I can tell you this, when my girlfriend met my friends, a part of her was like a box checked. Like, he's surrounding himself with good men. Now, I'm not saying you have to cut off every single one of your old friends, but if you're always hanging out with people who are doing low vibrational things, you're going to end up doing low vibrational things, and those low vibrational things are going to be pinpointed like a sniper by a man who understands what a good woman is, right? No good, high-quality woman who's living in her heart is going out doing shots of tequila, ripping lines of cocaine, and having sex with a random guy at the end of the night. It's not possible. I'm just telling you, it's the truth. Because every one of those women I've known who lived that life and got out of it have all told me that their heart was completely shut down. It was offline. And they were doing things for just pure validation and out of insecurity. Again, I'm not shaming it. I've lived that life. I was that person. I've gotten out of that life. When I lived that life, doing drugs, drinking, and being promiscuous, it's because I had no love for myself. I had to constantly outsource it to others to get it back to me. That's the life you want. And no one wants a partner who's stuck in that matrix. Your friend should inspire you to raise your frequency to do higher vibrational things, not the other way around. Because if your friends, again, are doing things that are out of alignment with the love you want, get out of there. Because the more you stay in that friend group, the more you're never going to find the love you want and desire. I'm telling you. It's just the way it is. Both of us, my girlfriend and I, the biggest desire we both had before calling each other in, I said, I want a woman who has zero interest in clubbing, drinking, doing drugs, and chasing men. She said, I want a man who has no interest in partying, drinking, doing drugs, and chasing women. That was both our highest objective because we've lived that life. We know the demons and bad people that run with that circle and how easy it is to fall back into it. We both said this is a non-negotiable, and because it's a non-negotiable, man, this shit's peaceful as it's loving. Because I know that, like, she's not going to go out one night, get drunk, and do drugs at a club, and I'm stuck there being anxious as hell, and I'm not going to do that either. Like, that's just not it's not even possible in our psyches. I'm telling you, that's a higher form of love. And it may seem like, oh, if you are in a relationship, you should have the freedom to do what you want. Sure. But it's also, if I'm a man and my girlfriend is going to a club without me and drinking and doing drugs and getting drunk, and I'm not there to watch over her, and she's with a bunch of predators who could roofie her, kidnap her. It's stuff severe shit. Like, a club is Satan's church. Think about it. It just is that way. And for me, if I was drinking and doing drugs, your consciousness goes away. You black out. You do things you wouldn't want. So if you want the highest form of love, I honestly, truly believe you need someone who has no interest in drinking or doing drugs at a high level constantly. Why? Because they're constantly entering a consciousness that's separate from love. And that consciousness created through drugs and alcohol will tempt them to do things that they would never do sober. So I would sit with this if you're in that camp. So that one's tough, but at the end of the day, the thesis I present for the friends section is, if your friends are doing low vibrational activities that you know are low vibrational, get some new friends, because they will keep lowering your frequency. And if your frequency keeps lowering, your potential for attracting a king or a higher man will keep lowering as well. All right. Next, health and wellness. I have to be hard here, okay? This is me telling the honest truth. Honestly, every single person, if they're honest with themselves, would say, in my most ideal form of love, I would want a partner who is in shape, sexy, and healthy. In your highest form of love, you are deeply, deeply attracted to your partner. That's just the way it is. And now, do you think a sexy, healthy person would want to be with someone who is not that? No, absolutely not. It's unrealistic to be someone who's overweight, not taking care of themselves health-wise, drinking, doing drugs, treating their body like a trash can, and expecting someone who is the sexiest, most attractive person ever. And men, look, I'm calling out men too. I see it more so in men, and it pisses me off. I know people who are overweight. They look like shit. They're taking no care of their health, and they're like, I deserve the sexiest, hottest woman. I don't believe that shit either, because she's not really gonna love you. She's not gonna love the things you provide for her. So I think if you're someone who wants, and we all want this, a truly healthy, attractive, vibrant person, we have to take our health seriously. It's a non-negotiable for finding your highest partner. My partner and I now go to the gym together, and we push each other in a good way, right? I can sometimes cheat shortcut abs, and she's like, no, let's do abs. You gotta do abs. She's doing a tricep extension incorrectly. I'll be like, hey, move your elbow this way. We're motivating each other to be our healthiest selves. It's not an obsession with being a six-pack or super like ripped. It's no, we're inspiring and pushing each other to be the healthiest version of each other. I'm not going to control her, or she's not going to control me. If she wants to eat a cookie, I can't do anything about it. If I want to go, because I spar people, I want to get punched in the face. She can't control that either. But we're essentially motivating each other to be better people. And a part of being a better person is being healthy. So that's the fitness and physique side of it, right? Because again, your partner, your most ideal partner, is a frequency. And part of that frequency, if you're honest for yourself, is the health part locked in, right? Even further than looking sexy, if they're unhealthy, they're going to die sooner. That's a fact. Unhealthy people die fast as shit. Fat people die fast as shit. I'm sorry if you think that's a slur. Look at COVID. The people who were the highest likely to die from COVID were those who had poor metabolic health, right? I have love for everyone who's overweight. I've been overweight. I get it. I understand how easy it is to fall into that camp, how easy it is to satiate our emotions and need to ground with food. I get it. I'm not judging, but it's also true that it's unhealthy, and it can lead you to it can make you. Health to me is your ability to respond to sickness at a better rate, right? That's your immune system, right? And your immune system becomes destroyed when you have a poor functioning metabolism, essentially, because your immune system lives in your gut. I'm not an expert on this stuff. This is the basic. So if you're an unhealthy person, you're going to die sooner. That's not a high from a love. You're going to be worried about your partner's health all the time. That's not the best thing. So part of that partner's frequency is health. And a big portion of that is devotion to fitness. I'm not saying it to be, like me benching all the time and doing that dumb stuff, but just, moving your body, walking, making sure you walk a lot, get your steps in, that you're maybe getting in the sauna sometimes, you're doing light weights, whatever it is, it's a devotion to being fit for your health, because health is important to be in a vibrant relationship. Okay. Now, going deeper into alcohol and drugs, this is the truth about alcohol that people have to know. There are spirits in the ether, good and bad. These spirits want to be human. They want to have the human experience, but they're trapped in essentially an in-between reality of the 3D and the ether. So they'll take any excuse in any way to take your avatar, your body, for a ride to experience life. Now, alcohol is essentially you giving consent to the spirits of darkness, the more you drink it, to take over your consciousness and use your avatar, your body, as a way to experience life. Now, what does the darkness want to experience? Violence, lust, hedonism, essentially. That's a darkness. You can look no further than all the dark history in the world and what they're involved in. It's that. Violence, rape, pillage, abundance of sex and hedonism. That's what happens, right? So, evidence for this is what happens to men when they black out. They get in fights. They have sex with a woman they should not have had sex with in their mind. Women wake up thinking, I cannot believe I had sex with that guy. He probably raped me. He might have done, right? So you wake up in the morning thinking, I, in my right mind, would have never made the choices I made last night. What does that mean? You are making those choices. You got drunk and gave a dark entity a way to take over your body to experience life through the vehicle of alcohol. So if you have a partner who drinks and gets drunk on a regular basis, you are being with someone whose body is constantly being used as a vessel for dark entities to experience life through, which means it's impossible to trust someone. I honestly believe in my heart that the highest form of love possible in a partnership must have no alcohol. Why? Because you can't trust someone fully if they drink a lot. Why? Because when they drink, their identity, themselves, their construct of themselves no longer exists. They get drunk and their body and mind becomes a vehicle for a dark spirit to come and live life through them, doing things the dark spirit wants to do without any consent or control from the person themselves, which means they'll cheat, they'll do something stupid. That's the reality. And it may seem hard, but if you're drinking a lot, you are being used as a vessel for darkness. It's just true. If you want to look at more evidence, the most damaging drug for violence, violent crime, the most common crime is literally domestic violence. And almost all domestic violence cases are when a guy comes home drunk. It's in the stats. Most crime and dark behaviors are caused by alcohol. Right? Think about this. When you're sober and you're thinking, you're at a bar, there's no way I'm driving tonight. I'm good. There's no way I'm driving. You get 4 or 5 drinks in you. You're like, I can drive. Woohoo! That's not you. You before thought you couldn't drive. You now are being taken hijacked by a dark entity that wants to experience what it's like to drive. So I'm saying this because if you're drinking a lot, you are being used as a vessel for a dark entity to experience life through. If your vessel is constantly being used by dark entities, what the does that do to your frequency? It crashes it so low. So low. I can immediately tell when a woman has a super low frequency because I can tell she drinks. And casual drinking, I'm not a fan of it, but not as bad. But if a woman's like a serious drinker or a man's a serious drinker, I can tell in a second because her frequency is so damn low because her body is constantly being used by the darkness. you gotta be real with yourself. I've been a drinker. I've been an alcoholic. I know the beauty it creates sometimes. I know how it makes you forget because you're literally forgetting yourself. You're forgetting your identity because you're giving it over to a demon. So I really believe if you want to attract the highest lover possible for you, you got to stop drinking the way you do because it lowers the out of your frequency, and it can lead to someone with a higher frequency looking at you being like, this person's getting drunk. I'll put it this way. Every single person, every friend I know, man or woman, who has a very high frequency would never in a million years commit to someone seriously who's a drinker. No one. Why? Because they know that for someone to be a drinker, their frequency has to be very low because alcohol is a very low frequency because alcohol gives your body over to dark entities that are the lowest frequency. That's the truth. So I'm sorry if this is hard to hear, but that's that. So to summarize this section, the two biggest things I could present for decluttering are your friends who are not holding you to the highest standard and health habits that are lowering your frequency to be unhealthy. Out of all the things to with your frequency, the biggest one that lowers it is poor health, a poor diet, alcohol, drugs. That will crash your frequency so low. And all the people I see who drink, do drugs, eat like shit, are living the standard American way, they have a horrible time attracting higher love. All the people I know who eat healthy, don't drink, don't do drugs, hold themselves to a high standard of health and frequency, they don't have a hard time calling in healthy partners. Why? Because they're healthy. A healthy partner is a frequency. If you're unhealthy in all forms, you can't attract a healthy partner, right? So if you're drinking and doing drugs and eating shitty food and you want a healthy partner, you're not going to get it until you become healthy. Health is a frequency. It's not just emotional, it's physical too. A healthy person emotionally, physically, spiritually will attract a healthy partner. But if you're saying, I deserve a healthy partner, and you're eating pizza and drinking wine, it's not coming. I'm telling you right now. All right. Second section. There are 3 realizations I had months before I met my soulmate. I saw and felt my soulmate was coming. I got the download. I saw it in my field. It was in my energetic field. I felt it coming. But a voice channeled through me to me and told me to get this partner, the soulmate you see in your field, you have to do the things that it takes to become the frequency of that partner. It will stay far away from you until you do the frequency, you change the habits that are lowering your frequency. So essentially, it was like the more you declutter and do the things that raise your vibration, the more she will come closer and closer into your field because she's already there. You have to clear stuff that's holding you back, and she'll come closer and closer and closer to you because you'll be the same frequency. Now, there were 3 things that came through. The first one was hard, and it was like stirring God's truth. Sometimes when God's truth comes to you, it's like, you're like, whoa, what the? It's like a, this was when it was hard. It was like a boom, like this is law. And this law is anytime you go back to a past partner, you become the person who attracted them in the first place again. What does that mean? When you meet a past partner, you are at a point of unconsciousness, of not being as healed as you are now, and you attracted them at that frequency, right? You break up with them because you're no longer at the same frequency. You're here, they're here. Life goes on. You're going higher and higher. Now, you reach a blockade where divinity, consciousness, the ether, the universe is like, you're about to go to the next level. Are you really ready? Because going to the next level is kind of hard, and you have to have your wits about you. So I'm going to test you by having this X tempt you for a night of seduction or a date or to go back to them, because that means you're not ready, because that means you're ready to go back to the old self who just started this journey. So you're essentially setting back your frequency all the way to past you who you've gone and healed so much. It's like Mario, where you go to the boss stage with Bowser and you lose that and go back all the way to level 1. That's what happens when you go back to an ex. You're about to beat the boss stage and your ex texts you and you go have sex with them, you're back to level 1. So that one's especially dangerous because there's so much attached to the ex of your old self. That was old you. And if you have sex with that person or re-entertain them, especially sexually, you're becoming that frequency again, and the potential to call in your higher lover is gone until you heal that dynamic again. But you're going back to the same frequency. So you're gonna all the process you went to heal with your ex and become a higher frequency, you have to go through again if you go back to them. The same exact process, and it might take longer. So when you cut contact or break up with an ex, never ever even consider them romantically again. Or you risk going back to the same place that called them in and ruining all your healing. So what came through to me is to say no, hard no, to any single temptation to entertain past partners to go to the next level. Because my girl now was here. All the exes were here. And I was raising, if I said yes to any of the exes, I would have been back here. And I would have my chances of finding her at this point in time, and it would have probably taken another couple of years. So the evidence for this, I'm not around, this is true. When I was about to commit hard to my partner to be my forever person, I had almost tons of exes reach out to me in the same day. The same 24 hours, and a bunch reach out to me. And I got a voice saying, this is a test. This is the universe saying, how ready are you for the next level? And I said, yes. All these past partners, I love them in a Christ-conscious way. It's all good, but I'm so ready for the next level. I'm not even looking at this. There's no thought except no, right? Whenever an ex texts you or comes in your field, the only word you should think is no. That's it. No other stories. No. Because that ex is there to tempt you, to bring you back to the old frequency you once had so you don't heal and ascend to the next level. It sounds like God is punishing you by tempting you, but what God is saying is the next level requires discipline to maintain. It takes discipline to maintain a wife and a child, and if you're tempted to go back to an ex during that time, you're going to fuck up your whole life. So I have to test you before you find that love to make sure you're ready for it, right? Because if you're so tempted by exes when you're married with kids, so if you pass the test beforehand by saying, no way, you beat it. It's good. And I'm telling you, it happened to her as well. So it's like, this is really important. When you're trying to find your highest love, say no to any ex that comes your way, because that ex will bring you back to the same frequency that you spent so much time healing that you have to spend the same time or more healing again to find them. So say no to any ex at all possible chances, because the old you called them in and you've healed the pain that called them in the first place. Don't go back. It's a temptation to bring you back to the old frequency. All right. Number 2. This is truth. And I used to avoid it and think, oh no, I'm fine. I can clear it. No, it's truth. I can tell you that firsthand. This is spiritual law. Anyone you have sex with, you combine energies with. When you have sex, it's like you're plugging into a socket and downloading each other's energy. It's an energy exchange. The man plugs, the woman receives. A combined electrical current is given to both of you where you become one. When you become one, you download their shit and they download your shit. Even worse, if you have it more than once, frequently, you're becoming telepathic, you're becoming one. When you have repeated sex with someone, you can literally become telepathic and you can feel their feelings even if you're far away from each other for a bit, because you are one. You've repeatedly plugged sockets to become one consciousness. So the rule should be only have sex with people you have a serious connection with, because you're going to download their energy. And if their energy isn't beautiful and pure, you're absolutely so. Again, evidence for this. I was celibate for 6 months before I met my current partner. 6 months, nothing. And yeah, it got lonely. It got tempting for sure. But I knew that the channel told me, if you have sex with anyone, you literally become their frequency. If you have sex with a dark person, you become dark. If you have sex with a light, beautiful, amazing person, you become that. That's sex. Sacred energy exchange. So if you're a woman who wants the highest love possible and you're at the club with 8 chains and a bottle of Dom Perignon, there's no chance in hell you're going to become the frequency of the highest lover, because you're letting the boy with Dom Perignon give you his energy. So you're becoming that. When you boy, you are the boy because you become the people you have sex with. So if you want the highest king lover, you can't have sex with the boys because you are the boy if you're the boys. A woman who's a queen, loving, and in her feminine energy, and she's repeatedly having sex with an amazing man, they become that freak together. So I get it's tempting, but you have to understand this shit is real. I have evidence for this. There are STDs, sexually transmitted diseases, and there are also sexually transmitted demons. The last time I had a night of promiscuity, a while ago, long time ago, I woke up, I got in my sauna, I said a prayer, I got out of my sauna, a black thing came out of my head like this, and then flew away. So I literally downloaded a demon from a woman because we had a one-night stand. Before that thing left my consciousness, I was having super dark thoughts, super insecure thoughts rooted in shame about my body that I'd never have normally. And the minute that thing went away, I'd stopped thinking that. So how does this happen? When you have sex, all your chakras, the field open, they all vibrate at the same time, and your field is all open. Usually when you're sober, your field's closed. When you orgasm, it's open. So if you orgasm and you have sex with someone dark, that open channel, all those chakras being opening and vibrating, literally is a portal for the darkness in the other person to come down. And it's inside you. So this shit's real. And it sounds like I'm being crazy, but I've experienced it. I've seen other people experience it. Think about this. When you've seen a friend stop having repeated sex with a boy and they finally become happy and loving again, it's not because they just stopped doing that. It's because they got the demons out of them. I'm not f***ing around here. This shit's real. Furthermore, when you have sex with a dark man and you're a woman, you end up becoming dark and addicted to his darkness. It's literally a spell. His semen is the codes and energies and spirits he possesses inside of him. That goes inside of you. And the baby-making feminine capacities of you turn on, and you literally become addicted to him. And you want more and more of a semen. It sounds crazy, but I'm telling you, how else do women have sex with a boy who's an asshole? And they're like, I want more of this asshole. It's not just trauma. It's that literally his semen is making her addicted to him. Some women spend up to 40 years in this spell, and then it feels like it's too late. So don't be in that boat. To close section 2, before finding your highest partner, you have to understand that you cannot have sex with someone who does not match that vibration. It's not as simple being like, I was just horny, I wanted to f the asshole, I just was horny. No, because that asshole is going to make you an asshole, and potentially could have that demons attached to the asshole latch onto you and start feeding you insecure thoughts. They're going to lower your vibration more and more. No woman or man who's having sex with a bunch of people is a confident, loving person. They're just not. I can tell you that right now. They're riddled with demons. All of them. Every single one. I've been that person. I was full of demons. Last law that came through to me. We talked about sex. We talked about exes. Now it's the regular people who ask you out on a date. You know, people, if you're a woman, men will ask you out on dates. It's just the way it works. So the law is, when you say no to people romantically who don't match your highest vision, the highest vision will start coming to you. The more you say no to people who don't fit the full picture, the more you're opening yourself up to someone who does. So what does this mean? Say no to the man who's super hot but doesn't have a heart. Say no to the man with an open heart but isn't hot. Say no to the attractive man with an open heart who doesn't want to have kids. You have to say no to every man that doesn't check the boxes you need checked, so you're opening up yourself to the possibility of receiving the man who does. Settling is that. It's saying yes to someone that you would normally say no to because you're so desperate to find love. That's settling. You fall in love, you have sex, you get addicted to him, it's over. So the one thing I can say is, I said no, hard no, literally no, to every woman who did not check all the boxes I needed checked for my highest lover. And that was annoying. I was like, am I crazy? My friends would literally say, dude, what the hell's wrong with you? Because the girls of their dreams would, I'm not saying this to be cocky, would approach me, and I'd be like, no, this isn't my girl. This is not what I want. And they would like, dude, you're insane. I thought I was insane. And then my wife fell in my lap. My lover, my amazing woman, fell in my lap. So, and her story as well is she had the same experience. She said no over and over again to all the men who were trying to pursue her. And she may have seemed crazy, and it wasn't fun being alone, but she knew that to get the man she really wanted, she had to say no to the men she didn't. That's it. However, and the important trick here is, you have to also be the person who checks all the boxes as well. If you're a woman who's overweight and wants a hot, fit guy, you're delusional. If you're a woman who wants a provider, masculine husband, and you're a feminist, you're delusional. If you're a woman who wants a kind man, but you're super mean, you're delusional. You have to be the person worth the partner you imagine in your mind. Whatever you want the partner to be like, you have to be like. There's no cutting corners because love is a frequency. To have the partner you want who's amazing be attracted to you, you have to be the frequency of them. You have to be equally amazing. There are no shortcuts here. I only found my highest form of love when I realized there was no shortcuts to becoming the frequency of the man she'd want. Love is a frequency, so you got to do this stuff. There's literally no choice. Now, theoretically, we should all hear this stuff and say, yeah, I should probably stop drinking, doing drugs, hanging out with party rats and having sex with boys, but you keep doing it. So what is that? It's so damn obvious to stop doing things that you know would not allow you to find your highest lover, but you keep doing them. Why is it the case? I think I have the answer. The answer is, you have to feel worth the person of your dreams to have them, right? Because if you don't, you will keep saying yes to and settling for people who are beneath you. And you can't fake self-worth. You can't think yourself into feeling worthy of an amazing lover. No, you got to match it with your actions. You can't be unhealthy, drinking, doing drugs, being promiscuous, and saying, I'm actually worth an amazing man. It's a fake worthiness that will cause you to keep entertaining the same habits you're doing because you don't actually feel worth a good man, so you're going to keep doing things that'll block him off unconsciously, right? If you're a woman who's not doing the things that make you worth an amazing man, but you believe you are and you say you are, you're going to keep doing the same things because you actually know you're not. So you're going to keep doing things to push him away and still validate your delusion. I don't know if that makes sense, but it's a pretty complicated concept. So how do you combat this? You have to actually do the things it takes to become worth them, right? So I'm going to use a professional example. This is, I've recorded over 100 something episodes, 120, 10, 20 episodes maybe, because I've deleted a bunch. I'm only feeling confident and competent now. When I first stepped into doing podcasts, the first 50 or so episodes, I was insecure. I didn't feel worth it. I felt like I was terrible at it because I kind of was. I knew that, but I knew I had to keep doing it over and over again to develop the data it takes to say, no, I've done this 120 times. I haven't fucked up. I'm worth this. I'm worth whatever success comes from this because I've done it. I've done the work. I've educated myself. I've done this thing, right? Love's the same way. You can't fake your way to an amazing lover. You have to be someone who feels worth the amazing lover. Why? Because when you're confronted by that truly amazing lover who checks all the boxes, you're going to get insecure. You're going to question yourself and say, how the do I deserve this? After all I've experienced, after all the rejection, the heartbreak I've experienced, how in the world do I deserve this? If you believe that thought, you will do things to push them away. I'm telling you. However, the only way to combat that thought is to see, no, I've done what it takes to deserve this. What helps me is I say, if I don't deserve this amazing woman, who does? Because I've done this shit. I've healed my trauma. I've healed my shadow. I'm healthy. I devote myself to practices that cleanse my aura, my spirit. I'm locked in. I don't talk to any other woman but her. I'm so focused. I love her with all my heart. I'm kind to people. If I don't deserve this, who the does? Because I'm doing the thing, right? Back when I thought I don't deserve this woman and I was insecure, I didn't. I was not doing things to match that vibration. I wasn't worth that. So when you're calling in and finding your highest love, you have to actually do the things that make you believe you're worth it, because the insecure thoughts will come your way, and the only way to combat them is saying, no, I'm worth this person because I've done what it takes to become that. I am them. That's what happens. If your partner is super fit and sexy and you're slacking off and gaining a bunch of weight, it's hard to feel worth them. If they're addressing their wounds and working on themselves internally and you're never doing the same inner work and you're avoiding it, it's going to be hard to feel worth them. That's a fact. It's the truth, right? It's just true. You have to match your partner to feel worth them and say, I'm worth this person. I've done what it takes. I'm worth it. I know it. I don't believe in this fake worthiness shit. I'm worth it just because I exist. No, I'm worth it because I've done what it takes to heal myself to be the frequency of this person. Most women settle with men who are fine because they don't believe they're worth someone better. And they probably aren't. But that doesn't mean they can't be. They are just afraid of the responsibility and arduous journey it takes to become that. Right? All there is between you and the partner of your dreams is the hard work it takes to become the person worth them. But because the work is so hard, we convince ourselves that I'm not going to get that person. I'll settle for this kind of nice guy who isn't that great just because I'm so afraid of going on the journey it takes to do the inner work required to become the healed version of me. The only thing it takes to find your highest lover is to do the inner work it takes to become the frequency of that. So all you're avoiding is the inner work. If you haven't found your partner who's the best for you, you just haven't done the inner work and healing it takes to attract them. That's it. It really is that simple. But women will settle and convince themselves this is as good as it gets just to avoid that work because they don't feel worth it. And the only way to feel worth your highest partner is to do the things it would take to attract them. I feel worth my amazing lover because I did the work. I did that shit. I spent years miserable healing my trauma, doing psychedelics, doing everything I could to become the highest frequency. I am it now. I feel worth it. All right. To conclude, finding the one is not as simple as sitting around and twiddling your fingers. Finding the one means you have to become the one because love is a frequency. If you don't become the highest version of you, you won't attract the highest possible partner because you won't be the frequency. So when you're single, use that time to become the best you and look for someone who's the best. In that process, you'll find the best. So the advice that says, just stop thinking and don't look and you'll find love is the worst advice possible because you'll attract someone who's also not healing themselves. It is a co-creative process of becoming the person worth the highest partner. To do so, you gotta step your shit up. And most importantly, as I mentioned, the biggest thing it takes to step your shit up is to stop doing the shit that makes you step down. Whatever you're doing as a person that makes you take your power away and lower your frequency is not as simple as up your life. You're up the timeline of finding your highest partner because your highest partner is a frequency that won't love you if you're doing those things. So it's time to stop around. Thank you. I hope you enjoyed that video. If you want to watch more content, please click this video right here and don't forget to subscribe right here. Thank you.